Hey folks, Grego here. Welcome back. And yes, it hasn't even been 24 hours since I did the last snack food quickie. But I've got another short one here today, and it is caused by my own doing. I issued a silly challenge to Reverend Amagon, Tasty Cake, that for each snack food tasting video that he does, I would match it with another one. So, all in good fun, but what have I gotten myself into? I checked his channel today, and he's at it again. Imagine my horror to see this. He has released two more new food tasting videos today. Coca-Cola strawberry flavored sparkling water, and then Peeps Dr. Pepper marshmallow. Very interesting. I've never seen the Chinese Coca-Cola sparkling water before. Uh, I will have to be on the lookout for that at Asian grocery stores. And the Dr. Pepper marshmallows sounds very interesting. Sounds like something that my mom might like because she has always liked Dr. Pepper, especially back when it was made with sugar. She quit drinking it when they started putting high fructose corn syrup in it. Actually, we all did. Uh, but that is what it is. Okay, so today, here's what I have. This is Cheeseland Ewephoria, aged 1 year. Uh, Gouda. I think most people in the United States pronounce it as Gouda, but technically that is pronounced Gouda. And it says this new creation from Holland is unlike any other sheep milk cheese that you have ever tasted before. The milk comes from a small farm where the sheep are treated like family. Even though the cheese has been aged for 1 year, it has developed a nutty flavor. I'm having trouble reading this. This is really small. So anyway, we're going to taste this one. Taking a look at this website here, this is cheeselandinc.com, and I'll put a link to it below. It's a cheese lover's dream of a website, that's for sure. I started tasting cheese back in the early aughts, and it became quite a hobby. Even made some of my own cheese. So let's take a look at the nutritional facts on this. The thing that I would immediately zero in on is looking at the sodium, because I have hypertension, which will more than likely be a contributing factor to my death when that day comes. But I do have to try to keep it under control, and I do look at sodium on every single thing that I eat. Fortunately, California requires restaurants to list the calories in foods on menus, but I don't think they're required to list sodium. So this one here, sodium is 250 milligrams, 11%, and then the serving size is 1 ounce. So that is what it is. Cheeseland sheep's milk, and I'm going to call it Gouda. Technically, in Dutch, there's like a throat sound like Gouda, and I just being an American, I can't do that. But our family are descendants of European immigrants. My DNA says I'm 99% European immigrant, and a large percentage of that is Dutch from Holland. So check out cheeselandinc.com, and good luck not finding something that you might enjoy. So before I taste this, let me show you the one that I have here. This is my piece, and I'm going to cut a piece off of that here in just a second. I want to take a look at the wiki for Gouda. Well, just check that out later. Gouda cheese is one of the most popular cheeses in the world. I read the wiki on it earlier. I had never seen it before. And there's one thing that this wiki does not mention. And this is something that, if memory serves me correctly, I learned this from Chef Rick Bayless, that owns Frontera Grill in Chicago. My wife and I have eaten there. We've met him, taken pictures with him. He's a very kind, talented chef. He has his own YouTube channel, and he does a PBS series that's been on for many years, which is called Mexico One Plate at a Time. And I believe it was Chef Rick Bayless that once said that the most popular cheese in Mexican food is Dutch Gouda or Gouda. I don't remember how he pronounced it, but it's a good meltable cheese. And whenever I'm making enchiladas, this is what I use. I do not use American cheese, and many people may be surprised to learn that the most popular cheese in Mexico is actually from Holland. And here's a whole bunch of wheels of it in Gouda, Holland, or Gouda, however you choose to pronounce it. And here is my piece that I have on the cutting board here. The wax on the outside, while it is edible, you probably want to trim that off. Here's a view of it from the other side. Now here's a little cheese hack. If you have a favorite cheese counter and a cheesemonger, have a good relationship with the cheesemonger. Talk to him about cheese, and one day you might get him to just remove the wax from your cheese. Because when you're purchasing wrapped cheese like that that is cut from a wheel, of course they're going to include the wax, and in many cases, even while it technically is edible, most people don't eat the wax. Uh, and you can actually get the cheesemonger to cut the wax off of your cheese for you if you are very, very nice and if you have the right establishment. Most large grocery store chains wouldn't even think of that. They would just immediately tell you, oh, we can't do that. But it's worth asking. So here, let me cut a piece off. Knife skills. All right. First time I tasted Gouda or Gouda, and when I actually knew what it was in the early aughts. I would say somewhere around 2002, when I joined a cheese tasting club where you would receive cheeses by mail or UPS, and they would include stories and recipes. And that's when I got deep off into cheese and even started making my own. And I thought it was interesting when I found out that I absolutely love Gouda or Gouda. Um, and then years later, getting my DNA results and finding out that, our family came from Dutch immigrants. Go figure. I think a lot of the foods that people love have something to do, not so much hereditary, but has something to do with foods that have been passed down in families for generations, hundreds of years. Okay, I've had this laying out for about 2 hours, so it has some pungency to it, which is characteristic of Gouda, and it's harder than many that you will get in a grocery store. This is, uh, I would say that this is a drier cheese. This you could actually grate. It has that kind of a texture. So let's try it. Wow, that's stunning. Nutty flavor, that is for sure. That that right there is just absolutely stunning. This one's one that would be hard to stop eating if you really get going at it. Very nice. World class. I would give that a 10/10, no problem. That's in a category of its own right there, with the texture being so much different. You can get a big giant wheel of Gouda, like at Costco, and when you cut into that, you would notice that it's a much softer cheese. Um, if you're looking for a giant amount of Gouda, that's probably the best way to get it is by the wheel. And I suspect that a lot of Mexican restaurants in the United States, particularly down south with Tex-Mex, uh, probably use wheels of Gouda and just shred it themselves. If they're making Mexican food in an authentic manner. Okay, so I have one more thing here. I see I've been talking 10 minutes, and I'm going to try to keep this to 15 because yesterday one of my videos was a half hour. Didn't even realize that. And then another one I think was 15 minutes. So 15 minutes is the target. So, you ever heard of Clearly Canadian? Clearly Canadian. Now, I'll tell you my own personal experience with this. I figured now that the US government has been overthrown, it's very likely that things from Canada that Americans love are going to get a lot more expensive. So it's probably a good time to try this. Unfortunately, a lot of things that come from America that American families actually use to feed themselves is going to get more expensive. But what can we do? It's like our hands are tied. So with Clearly Canadian water, let's take a look at their website here. Nature's Pure Essence. Clearly Canadian, I first saw in the mid 1990s, and of course it was in a grocery store. I recall, I believe it was a Coca-Cola representative was stocking that, and I was looking at it because I had never seen something like that before. The bottle looked different, and I remember him telling me that, yeah, bottled waters are going to become big in the future, and I probably laughed thinking, yeah, who in the hell is going to buy a bottle of Canadian flavored water when you can just get water out of the faucet? And we're talking a time before Coca-Cola released a Dasani, which I believe is tap water that's been filtered with a little bit of salt in it, possibly. It does have sodium. This was back before that came out. This was a front runner, Clearly Canadian. Do check out their website. It's just clearlycanadian.com. This screenshot here shows the country raspberry that I have, and yes, that was one of the original flavors in the 90s. I distinctly remember that. But there's something about this company that I find interesting. The Clearly Canadian company was actually saved by crowdsourcing and YouTubers. Yes, that did happen. If you look at the timeline of the company on Wiki, jump down to where 2012. Okay, now it shows a bunch of chaos starting when founding management exits in 2001 and recapitalization begins. Company founder resigns in 2006. And then 2012, look where that says 4N Capital Partners led by Robert Kahn acquires the company. Now, I believe that was a time when Clearly Canadian bottled sparkling water had gone away. It was no more. And then right below that, 2013, fan-sourced, crowd-sourcing, direct-to-consumer pre-sales campaign. And see, I remember that. The pre-sale campaign reached its goal of 25,000 cases pre-sold, which pushed the product back into production. Isn't that something? An interesting tale here. Now, around the time that I started cheese tasting in the early aughts, around 2002, I would also drink these. But it's probably been 10 years or more, or possibly 20 years since I've had one of these, because after it ceased production, well, it wasn't available anymore. And it's been a long time since I tasted one of these. One of the things I remember is the kst, right when you would turn the cap. So let's see if we still got that. Yes. It's there. The kst is there, and so is that wonderful aroma that I remember. Now, these have always been in glass. They were originally in glass back in the 1990s, but they were bigger. They had to have been. When I saw this bottle today, I was like, oh, that's cute. It's a little mini one. Well, They don't call it mini, but technically it's 11 ounces. Yeah, clearly Canadian. I see what you did there. Shrinkflation. These used to be bigger, and water is one of the most expensive things to ship, especially from Canada to California, because it's heavy, and so is glass. But the bottle is recyclable. So let me taste this. Yeah, that's it. That is exactly what I remember. And there was a time when I would have one of these almost every morning with breakfast. I like them super cold as you can get. This one's been in the freezer for about 30 minutes before I decided to get on and record this video. I thought, well, if I'm going to drink it, let's record a food tasting video anyway. These are unfortunately expensive. This bottle was $2.50. Yeah, for 11 ounces of water. Do the math on that. But it is so good, so good. It's velvety. The ingredients are carbonated spring water, cane sugar. It's a little bit sweet. Not so much that I would quite realize it. It seems to be the perfect amount. And then of course natural flavor and citric acid. But something about the carbonation, however they do this, it's velvety. Now, what this reminds me of course, the name is Country Raspberry. And at first I thought it said California Raspberry, and here's why. What this reminds me of when it comes to favorite raspberry flavored drinks is something that's unfortunately a little bit of a tragedy. If you take a look at this picture here, you see the Coca-Cola, the one on your right, California Raspberry. That right there was the most awesome version of Coca-Cola that I've ever tasted in my life. And it was available for a short time. I know that you could find them at Walmart. A 6 or a 4 pack of them would be about $10. So they're a bit pricey. But here's the thing about those. They don't have high fructose corn syrup. They used real cane sugar, just like imported Mexican Coke. So when I saw those, I was like, all right, great. I'm down for this because I don't drink corn syrup. To me, corn syrup is sticky and I just don't like it. So I refuse to buy anything with corn syrup in it. And yes, that includes Coke. So when these were available, I became a Coke fan and consumer. I was buying California Raspberry Coca-Cola until suddenly it ran out at Walmart, which I thought was temporary. So I had to go to a further, even more remote Walmart, and they had just a couple left, and then it was gone. And the same thing happened to Georgia Peach, which was available at the same time. And Georgia Peach was one of the most incredible Coca-Colas or sodas that I've ever tasted in my life. You got the peach on the nose as if you were smelling the fuzz of a peach. It's almost hard to describe. And those premium products were available for consumers that may not like high fructose corn syrup. And it's a terrible tragedy that they're gone. That is a real shame. However, it's kind of back. There's a new Coca-Cola which is called British Columbia Raspberry. Now, you see the tie-in here? It's kind of ironic. Clearly, Canadians started in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, and this country raspberry is absolutely wonderful, thus reminding me of California Raspberry Coke, which you can no longer get. But this one here, British Columbia Raspberry, I suspect that is also a premium product that contains real sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. But I haven't seen it at the store. However, if you have deep pockets, You can get your very own 4-pack of Coca-Cola British Columbia Raspberry on that giant Monopoly for $25. Nah, I think I'll pass. And I will just stick with my clearly Canadian raspberry at $2.50 a bottle. So anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to stay tuned. I will have more snack food quickies. Today I also released another sleep video of TARDIS sound. It has beautiful artwork thanks to Doctor Who and the Mid Journey, and it has an 11-hour sound of the TARDIS, which may help people go to sleep. I had always wanted to see a TARDIS sleep video and never saw one, so figured, well, let's just make it ourselves. For the inspiration of these silly snack food tastings that I've somehow gotten myself into, go to the Tase T Kaaake channel. That's where the madness began. And then he came up with this silly idea to try to find a banana Kit Kat in Japan. That was a fiasco right there, but it was very fun. And then, of course, Reverend Amagon, also your boy, Tase T Kaaake. He's also the founder of a variety show, Spill the Geek Tea, which comes out every Sunday at 3 p.m. San Francisco, 5 p.m. Chicago, 6 p.m. New York City, East Coast. Check it out. It consists of a lot of Doctor Who fans who are talking about real life instead of Doctor Who, which I think is interesting because really, who wants to talk about Doctor Who only and all of the time? I think it's fascinating to see a channel with Doctor Who fans involved that just covers real life. It's great fun. You'll find me on there as well, and I enjoy it. That's my weekly Geek Out session. So until next time, I had fun with this. This cheese is absolutely wonderful, and you know, memories of flavors can last a lifetime. Flavors and aromas, because I can't tell you how long it's been since I drank a clearly Canadian, but it's been a long time. And this right here, this is exactly what I remember, and it's succulent. So the Cheeseland Gouda or Gouda from Holland, 10/10. That's my rating for it. It's a 10 of 10. And clearly Canadian country raspberry, that's a 10/10 as well. So I'm very happy with both of these products. Everyone have a nice night, and peace out from San Francisco.